Killam and softly Saturday Night Live alum Taran Killam going to join us on today's show. And LeBronulous is LeBron's time in LA not done yet. And a devilish day for the Blade Angels. The latest from Nathan Chen on all the Olympic action. Yahoo Sports Daily starts right now. She's Caroline Fenton. I'm Jason Fitz. For the next 2 hours, we're rack back stacked, ready to get you caught up on everything you need to know. We got celebs galore. I don't know what it is about SNL alums, but you and I are both big fans. So Taran Killam going to come on today. I'm kind of excited about
it's our show.
The SNL. I mean, is this the way we actually get tickets to the show? Is that how that happens? Have you ever been to a taping?
I've never been to a taping, but you bet your bottom dollar I set my alarm on that one day in August every single year to be entered into the lottery. Never gotten it, so maybe this is my subliminal message to Taran Killam and to Lorne Michaels and SNL alum everywhere. I want to be there, please.
Yeah, well, just make me your plus one. I've been once, but it's incredible. I want to go again. All right, Olympic action is underway right now. We got plenty to get to over the next 2 hours, but let's start with the Blade Angels, because yesterday, as we were talking, everybody was wondering what would it look like. We got some of the answers, but it wasn't necessarily what we hoped. Alyssa finished third in the short program with a score of 76.59. If she reaches the podium on Thursday, how are we feeling about this? Does this make her the big breakout star? Everybody's been looking at the Blade Angels. She by far was the best of the outcomes yesterday.
And my goodness, her skating was beautiful. I got chills watching her. She was powerful. She was graceful. You could tell she was just having so much fun out there. So yeah, look, is a bronze medal a little lackluster compared to all of the hype and expectation? Of course it is. But is a bronze medal still a medal at the Olympics? 1000%. And Alyssa Liu's story is so fascinating. She came onto the world scene when she was incredibly young. She won a gold medal at the World Championships at just 10 years old. She won another Worlds at 13 years old. So she was a very, very, very early bloomer. And then she retired several years later. She retired at just 18 because she was tired of it. She was like, I just want to explore something else in my life. And she went on a ski trip with her friends. She had an absolute blast. And she thought, okay, I think I can have this much fun skating again. So after she retired at a very young age, she came back and then found herself at the Olympics this year. And now she has an opportunity to medal and find the podium. So I think it's such an awesome story of resilience. It's such an awesome story of, putting yourself first and then finding your way back to your sport. So yeah, I absolutely think that Alyssa Liu should be a star in this year's games, or a breakout star, or a household name by the end of these games if she isn't already yet.
Yeah, I think, look, you've got a couple of things going here. You've got the branding of what it is meant for the Blade Angels to come together. The nickname's fun, as we've talked a lot about, but also the camaraderie they have together, posing as Charlie's Angels in different situations is great. But you mentioned her skate yesterday. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most is a very simple word: comfortable, right? Like in these Olympics, so often it has been difficult for some of the big names, big stars with big expectations to simply get comfortable. What we saw from the minute she stepped on the ice, I thought, was just a level of joy and a level of comfort in the situation. The moment can get so big so fast, and I never want to fault an Olympian for it. As we've talked a lot over the course of the last week and a half, the amount of pressure that's on these athletes that have spent 4 years preparing, their whole lives really preparing for this one moment that they only get every 4 years. I can only imagine that comfort is a difficult thing to find in these situations. From the moment she stepped on the ice, Caroline, I just felt like she looked like she was in her element. She looked like she was having fun. She looked effortless throughout all of it. So to me, that's such a big statement of handling the moment and just understanding that, yes, there's all this pressure, and yes, there's all these expectations, and yeah, we are in this society that wants more no matter what you accomplish at the Olympics. We want you to do more. If you win the silver, it should have been the gold. If you win the gold, it should have been a record. Like the amount of things that we stack, but it didn't feel like she felt any of that. And that was truly part of what made it, I think, beautiful. My heart lifted watching her skate because I felt like we were just watching somebody skate. Like she felt like nobody in the world was paying attention, and she just go be one with the routine and one with the ice. That picture right there to me is everything that was beautiful about the moment, Caroline.
And after she was done, it was beautiful, it was elegant, it was graceful, it was powerful, it was all of these things. The music stopped, her routine ended, and she looked at the camera and goes, "Shout out Oakland." It was
Mhm.
just like in that moment, like her personality totally shone through, and you could tell that she was just like she was playing this character that she was on, that she was figure skater Alyssa Liu. And then as soon as she was done, you could see that she wasn't tense, she wasn't overly emotional. She just fell back into her normal self. Shout out Oakland. It was just cute. And it was a cute reminder that like this is a person. This is a human being with a personality that comes through in her piercings and her hair. And after the after Amber Glenn's skate, she was interviewed and they asked about, the level of pressure that she might feel. And she was like, there's no pressure. It's just like, she's like, I wish it was longer. I wish I could have been out there longer. I wish I could have had a longer routine. I wish I could have enjoyed, the moment a little bit longer. She said, as long as I am out there, I am winning. And what a refreshing perspective from somebody who does have a lot of expectations, from somebody who does have a lot of eyeballs on her, from somebody who is very, very young. It could be easy to crumble under that pressure, to feel like you have to live up to a certain expectation, to feel like you have to play a certain role that maybe the country or the media is placing onto you. But she has been so steadfastly herself. And it was so refreshing to see that. We saw Ilya Malin in his, mistake-filled routine. You could tell when he stepped out on the ice. You could feel that pressure. It was almost palpable how much anxiety he felt. Saw the same thing with Amber Glenn yesterday. When she went out on the ice, it just felt like she, could feel that amount of pressure, that she looked like there was weight on her shoulders. Hated to see the outcomes for both of those incredibly talented skaters, but Alyssa Liu didn't feel like she was skating with those expectations, and it really shone through in her routine that was nearly flawless.
It feels like it's been all or nothing for a lot of these athletes. They've either been very aware of like, hey, it's all good, I just want to do my best, or they've been very aware of the pressure.
Yeah.
Amber Glenn, you mentioned Amber went out, and look, all eyes were on the Madonna video beforehand, which was really incredible. She was skating to Like a Prayer. Madonna sends her a good luck
Yeah.
video. Everybody was ready for this moment. She finished 13th. She needed to be consoled afterwards, and it was difficult. It's always a painful watch for me whenever we're watching somebody in their biggest moments fail. It's a painful watch for me in March Madness, for example, when immediately the camera goes to a player on the sideline that's covering their head in tears. It's tough because in these moments you just are reminded of what's on the line, how much they care, how much they want, how much they expect from themselves in that moment. Amber Glenn just didn't live up to that. And there's no nice way to say that, unfortunately. She didn't have the skate that she wanted. Finishes 13th, makes it really unlikely she's going to get to the podium in any sort of capacity. And it's heartbreaking for somebody that really, you could see it right there. You feel it from them, the disappointment that they feel and the disappointment that everybody felt watching.
I said the same thing and felt the same way after watching Ilya Malin, and I wanted to just reach through the TV screen and give her a big hug, because as soon as she was done, she knew it. She felt she already had tears in her eyes. She had the look on her face of, I just blew it. And it was so heartbreaking when there was a camera shot. She was looking up at the screen waiting for her score. And there was a camera shot of her looking down on her. She was looking up and she had tears streaming down her face. Her eyes were puffy, her face was red, and the camera was on her for so long. And look, the camera person is doing their job, but I was like, get the camera off of her. Let this poor girl be miserable in peace. But you could feel it. She was so devastated of, that was my opportunity and I just blew it. Amber Glenn is 26 years old. We've seen so many athletes compete in their mid to late 30s and early 40s, figure skaters, snowboarders, skiers, but there's no guarantee that at 30 years old, Amber Glenn is going to be able to find herself back in the Olympics, despite being the number one figure skater in the US right now. And it was one move. She was supposed to do a triple, only did a double, or supposed to do a double, only did a single, whatever it was. That was the one thing. Outside of her triple lutz, outside of a nearly perfect and flawless performance, that was the one blunder for her routine. And that was the difference. The commentators were saying, hey, at that point, she could have won gold. But after this, she finds herself in 12th place. That's how unforgiving figure skating is. That is how one teeny tiny little detail, one teeny tiny little centimeter can change the course of 4 years and a lifetime of training. It's devastating.
Yeah, and that's obviously hearts go out. There were so many expectations and so many eyeballs on this. The third of the Blade Angels competing, Isabel Levito, finished eighth in the short program. She's just
Mhm.
18, though. So I feel like Caroline,
Yeah.
in some ways, that one felt different because she's young. This is the beginning of her journey, we presume.
Cool moment for her too. Her mom is from Milan, so she got to skate in front of her mom in her hometown. One of my biggest takeaways from having the privilege of talking to Olympians is your first Olympics is just for learning how to be an Olympian, learning your schedule, learning your routine, being okay with the pressure and the stage of being at the Olympics. Isabel Levito will be back. Of course, we would want to see more Americans on the podium. Of course, we would have loved to see Isabel Levito medal. But at this point, hey, she's 18 years old. There have been several videos that have circulated of her talking about just how much fun she's having in the Olympic Village and making new friends. So she'll be back, and I'm sure she'll be even more prepared for her next one, understanding the stage and the expectations of being an Olympian.
Well, obviously, there's high expectations constantly on Michaela Schifrin. We've talked about it. We had news this morning, though. She has won gold in the women's slalom, her second time winning gold in the event since 2014. A second skier ever to win gold twice in the event. This is that collective cheer you hear is also a sigh of relief because certainly the
Yeah.
legend you are, Michaela. I said yesterday she has literally nothing left to prove to absolutely anybody. I stand by that. But sitting here now with the gold around her neck yet again only reminds us absolutely how incredible she is.
Oh, as if we needed a reminder. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of a collective sigh of relief from, Americans everywhere, not just to finally see, a U.S. athlete with gold medal expectations break through and win the gold medal, but also for Michaela Schifrin herself. She's had an Olympic drought. She's had a history of falling short on the Olympic stage, even at Worlds or, at any other big time international competition. Michaela Schifrin is going to find the podium, if not win the whole thing. But the Olympics haven't come to fruition in that way for her. So for Michaela Schifrin to finally break through, get that proverbial monkey off her back, not just get on the podium, but win gold and do it in such a flawless performance. Even the Italian commentators were giving her a round of applause because of how pristine and surgical her run was. So congratulations to Michaela Schifrin. What a wonderful moment. And I think a moment that all of us Americans can kind of get behind this
It,
story of triumph.
to me, at some level, Caroline, it just eliminates anybody's ability to have the wrong conversation, right? Like so much
Yeah.
of the Olympics has been about, for some, has been about a conversation of disappointment. And I think that's because we've seen several huge stars coming into this thing. Like nothing changes the fact, for whatever reason, as we've talked about, we don't spend 4 years obsessing over who Olympians are. We spend about 6 weeks leading up, learning who most of these athletes are, right? And we fall in love with people that we think are going to have great expectations. And throughout the course of this Olympics, one of the things that's been really interesting to me is that many of the athletes with huge expectations haven't necessarily lived up to that, which is interesting only because at the same time, we see, a 41-year-old bobsledder win a gold medal, and we see, 54-year-old curling competitors. We've seen all of these crazy, incredible stories. So I personally don't see anything from these Olympics other than great stories that are incredible. But it has been different in the sense that some of the biggest stars haven't been what we expected throughout the course of what we've seen in Milano Cortina so far.
Yeah, it's been such a cool story to see how things have kind of panned out. Going into every Olympics, we feel like we have our storylines solidified. These are the athletes to watch, these are the events to watch, these are the things that are going to be, the headline marquee type of events. But this Olympics has proven to us, hey, you don't pre-write these stories. Nothing is guaranteed in the Olympics. And while we hate to see those marquee athletes fall short of their expectations, what has been so fun to watch is just the pureness of this Olympics, the pureness of what we love so much about sports, which it's, the underdog stories, these come from behind winners, these athletes that have been able to finally break through and kind of break some of these narratives. It's been very refreshing and fun to watch.
We have more Olympic breakdown coming later in the show. Nathan Chen going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on everything so far that we've seen. But coming up next, some NFL injury news that could impact everybody going into free agency, which, by the way, franchise tag starts today. So it's never too early to figure out where these guys are going to go.
Who's the dream fight? Like, who's the final boss for you?
Nyla Inoue.
Yeah, that's the one, huh?
Yeah, I feel like he's the guy.
What a freaking fight that would be.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
How far away do you think you are from this, like, maybe being a thing?
I would say maybe a year.
Yeah.
Maybe just a year away. Yeah, it's
Is the
right
dream
there.
to try to, like, get more belts so that entices him to come after you? Okay.
100%. He's going to get a wake-up call fighting a guy like me.
And Kenneth Walker wins Super Bowl MVP.
The way he's kind of molded his game to work for him has been fun because it's such a hard turn from where he started. Sometimes it feels like a more dramatic version of like how Le'Veon Bell used to run the ball, how Le'Veon would stop and wait and see things open. But Le'Veon, like, he was hugging the ass of his centers and his guards. Kenneth is like, he's like step back so we can see the whole picture open up. And then when it hits, he's off.
The Sixers, to me, are the biggest loser of the trade deadline. You get these middling picks for Jared McCain, one of your most promising young players, to duck the tax. Just a joke. If I'm a Sixers fan, I'm infuriated. The Sixers, losers this trade deadline. It's just so disappointing for Philadelphia, man.
Who in college football could experience that same level of redemption arc? And I was thinking, we've actually kind of seen it a little bit in the past. I would say Jaden Daniels did. Remember when his teammates were like throwing his things out of his locker and talking trash about him when he left Arizona State, and then he goes and wins the Heisman at LSU?
It was a little bit of a turnaround. I wonder what those guys are doing now.
The Dolphins released Tyreek Hill, who's recovering from a dislocated knee and torn ACL. So nothing is certain about Tyreek Hill's future. We thought we'd take a look as we get ready for free agency at some of the big-name players in the NFL that are trying to figure out their way back, and then we're trying to figure out if they can still be productive. Let's start with Tyreek, because, Caroline, you're talking about somebody that has relied on speed their entire career, somebody that's 32 years old, somebody that we're looking at that's always been able to take the top end off of a defense, but he's coming off of a catastrophic knee injury, and now he hits the open market. And frankly, I don't even know when teams are going to get to work him out to just see, like, clearing medicals is going to be difficult for the foreseeable future. Can Tyreek still be productive?
Tyreek can't be the cheetah. Like, Tyreek is not going to be nearly 2,000 receiving yards, your go-to outrun anyone in the NFL kind of guy. But Tyreek can still be a weapon. Like, Tyreek Hill is still Tyreek Hill. The issue with that, though, is everything that I have been told by anyone who's played the wide receiver position is that speed is the first thing that goes. Your hands stay with you with age. There's just certain technique that it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 50. Like, you're still going to have that. Your speed goes. So if your calling card is speed and you're 32 years old, you're coming off of a gruesome leg injury, well, you're probably not going to be nearly as effective as you were when you were 24, 25, 26 and in your wide receiver prime. All of that being said, though, Tyreek Hill is still going to command attention from defenses. Tyreek Hill can still be a productive weapon for you, but Tyreek Hill is not going to be the cheetah that we've known and loved.
One of the most interesting things I've done a few years ago, was watch film with a couple former NFL players around Tyreek. And what you saw is that because you saw pre-snap, the safeties and DBs would all drop back to where they thought Tyree was going to end his route because they needed to cheat to his side of the field, which is just drastic to see. And it creates openings everywhere else on the offense. That's part of why he's a cheat code. That's gone. So now it's just Tyreek, the wide receiver. Look, Tyreek without fifth gear is still faster than most guys in the world will ever be with 5 full gears. I understand that. But I do think it's different. You need somebody now that can scheme him open. That's why, look, I want to say loudly, he's not who he would be before for Kansas City. But I do trust a mind like Andy Reid to be able to get the most out of what is left of Tyreek Hill. I think he needs to go, Caroline, wherever he ends up, to someplace that has a mastermind schemer that can look at it and say, how much Tyreek do I have? How can I use him in the right spots? And how can I make him the most successful he can be? I look at the Chiefs as a good opportunity for that on a value contract. Where do you like it fit?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to your point, he's a chess piece. Even if he's not 100% Tyreek Hill in his prime, he is still a piece that you can, be incredibly strategic with. I think the Chiefs make a whole lot of sense. He fills a need. He has familiarity with that team and with Andy Reid. I think that's the obvious landing spot. Would not be surprised in the slightest if he ends up back in Kansas City. But I think the Chargers are an interesting team to look at. Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator in LA now, obviously a lot of familiarity with Tyreek Hill, having been his head coach in Miami. And Mike McDaniel is that kind of mastermind that would know exactly how to use Tyreek Hill. And it also fills a need for Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen is a free agent. I don't expect the Chargers to bring him back. They're wide receiver needy. I think Tyreek Hill would be the perfect kind of weapon in that offense.
So let's look at another wide receiver, not a free agent, but another wide receiver coming off of a big injury in Tank Dell. Obviously, Tank, the Texans' entire offense looks different when Tank is capable of playing. But, man, he's gone after injury through injury after injury after injury. Some training video out there. His legs look, look, as a guy with chicken legs, I don't have a lot of room to talk, but they look tiny. Legs look tiny. Friends don't let friends skip leg day. He's got some work to do to build those legs back up. Do you believe Tank Dell can come back and be Tank Dell?
I don't know what Tank Dell's legs used to look like, but I know what they look like in this video, and they look skinny, and his little knees look knobby, and I would be scared if my legs looked like that to go out there on a football field and get tackled by a 300-pound man. Look, you mentioned it. It was injury, bad, gruesome, season-ending injury after bad, gruesome, season-ending injury. I'm holding my breath a little bit on Tank Dell, which is so unfortunate because he did show so much promise, because he did show that he could be a legitimate number one option in the National Football League. But at this point, if you're bringing in Tank Dell, you're really taking a risk, and you have to be willing to take a chance that Tank Dell can come back to the level that he used to be. Look, he's only 26 years old, so he's got a whole lot of, career left ahead of him, but I'm hesitant on what he can offer his next team.
CJ Stroud needs Tank Dell to be the best version of Tank Dell to be the best version of CJ Stroud. Like, this is all this circle. It's a Spider-Man meme looking at each other. And I will never doubt his ability to come back because he's got plenty of time before the season starts. But, man, that's just a reminder that there's a long way to go to get back into what we perceive as football shape. One other player that we're not sure what's going to happen in the open market, but how about we take a look at Anthony Richardson? All right, he's coming back from a freak eye socket injury in the gym, and according to reports, he's going to request a trade. Now, there's a lot of conversation. Remember, Daniel Jones is technically a free agent. So what's going to happen with the Colts and Daniel Jones? What are they going to do? What are they going to do with Anthony Richardson? They still hold Anthony Richardson's rights, but he wants to be traded. Would that actually happen given the fact that he costs a little bit more money, or would he hit the open market? I don't know, but we love reclamation projects. Can Anthony Richardson be a reclamation project? Can he be the next Sam Darnold, the next Baker Mayfield, the next insert quarterback that goes to another team and suddenly finds success?
Not putting my money on it because I wasn't sold on Anthony Richardson coming out of Florida. He started 13 games. He attempted 393 passes in college. Just to put that into perspective, when Jaden Daniels came out of LSU, he attempted over 1,500 passes. So Anthony Richardson was a raw product coming out of Florida. And I thought, look, he's got all of the talent in the world. His ceiling is sky high. But he's going to have to go somewhere that approaches his development with a whole lot of patience, because he was a project quarterback coming out of Florida. That's not a bad thing, but that's what he was. But the Indianapolis Colts were impatient. They wanted to start him right away, and he got hurt, and he's continued to get hurt. And the only way that you can develop is by playing football and getting live snaps and playing in live games. That's part of the reason why Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones were those kind of reclamation projects, because they saw a lot of football, because they spent a lot of time in this league with offensive masterminds, because they got several opportunities and they were able to make mistakes and learn from them. Anthony Richardson hasn't made a lot of mistakes in the National Football League because he hasn't had opportunity to make them, because he hasn't been on the field. So I think at this point, now that he's going into year 3, year 4 in the NFL, and he's played very minimal football, I don't have a whole lot of optimism that Anthony Richardson can come to fruition and reach that ceiling, because I think at this point, Fitz, I think the Colts ruined him.
Well, I think this is tough to say. I'm not in the room, and I know I'm not in the room. I think Anthony Richardson has as much to do from the outside looking in with ruining himself as the Colts do. I go back to reports that we got when he was backing up Flacco, and Flacco, Flacco's not a guy that turns around and says, it's my job to mentor you. Flacco made it clear that it's your job to ask questions. It's your job to observe. I'm not here to give somebody the job, but if they want to figure it out, they can. There is some element of this that when Anthony Richardson before was being benched, there were questions about, did he put in the work? Was he observing the right way? I don't know that we have any proof of concept that Anthony Richardson has been this massive grinder that's just been spending all of this time on task while other quarterbacks were starting, learning and trying to figure it out. So I hear people say, well, he's got to get on the field. And then I hear other people say, well, he's got to go somewhere where he can be nurtured. Well, he's been sitting with the opportunity to figure the game out from the sidelines, which everybody keeps telling me is the smart thing to do, for a couple of years, and it hasn't helped him. When he plays, he doesn't look any better suited to play. I have a hard time with this because, look, if you look at his age, he's 23. So to be very clear, Garrett Nussmeier and Ty Simpson, 2 quarterbacks that are going to be drafted this year in the NFL draft, are the same age or older than Anthony Richardson is. He came out young. But what have we seen since he got there that's given us any sort of indication that he's that guy that's sitting in the quarterback room for 20 hours a day, putting in the work the way we always talk about these things? What proof do we have? What indication have we gotten from anybody in the building that he's a grinder, that's just working every day at getting better? Even the way he's handled some of those moments when he's been asked about it hasn't given us that indication. So, yeah, I don't think the Colts necessarily did themselves any favors. And I said at the time, to be consistent, that him getting injured his rookie year and then the Colts having success was the worst thing that could have happened for everybody, because he didn't get that time on task to grow with the team that was growing at the same time. I understand all of the bad things that have happened. I just have a hard time placing all of the blame on the Colts when it feels to me like when you've had multiple experienced backup quarterbacks come in and beat you for the job, you've had years worth of opportunity to watch and learn and get better in the room. And we just, Caroline, haven't seen that from him. So I think he has to shoulder some of the blame.
Of course he has to shoulder some of the blame. You're a professional, and you've now been in the league for, we've wrapped up year 3 for Anthony Richardson. Time flies.
This will be your third.
And at some point, you have to take care of what you need to take care of yourself as an individual. So, yes, it's not entirely on the Colts organization. When you are a professional athlete, some of that falls on your shoulders. But it goes back to the very beginning of his career when it was so clear and obvious to me. And look, I understand that, everyone within the Colts organization has more football acumen in their pinkies than I will ever have in my entire body. I understand that. But it was obvious to me, and it was obvious to so many other people, that Anthony Richardson was not ready. That the Colts could take him with a premium pick, but you're going to have to bring him along slowly, right? Like, he's a Thanksgiving dinner. He's not McDonald's. He's going to take some time. He's going to take some overnight prep. That's not just something that you can microwave and give somebody through a drive-through. He was going to take some time, but they weren't willing to be patient. And so I think that was mistake number 1 in Anthony Richardson's career, and that falls squarely at the feet of the Indianapolis Colts. But that was 3 years ago. So at some point, yes, to your point, Anthony Richardson is going to have to take care of what he needs to take care of as a quarterback.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what his future looks like. In the meantime, coming up next, Saturday Night Live alum, actor extraordinaire, comedian Taran Killam joins the show next. We'll get his thoughts on his Rams and see how he's feeling about them.
Peterson looked like the clear-cut number 1 pick in the first half of that game. He looked like the clear-cut number 1 pick. The fluidity on the floor, the ease in which he moved off ball defensively, creating havoc. He looked majestic.
sometimes it just comes down to as simple as like, this dude moves the way basketball players are born to move. Was Kevin Durant the last college scorer that made it look as effortless?
Did you go to the casino after the fight?
Hell yeah.
How'd you do?
We're up.
Up?
We're up.
Well
Yep,
done.
we're up.
Were you just walking around there after the fight and people recognizing you? Like, weren't you the guy that was just on the UFC?
Yeah, that's where I get recognized the most.
Really?
The other,
What's that
with
say?
the other gambling regions, everyone recognizes me there. Anywhere else I go, no one knows me. But if I go there, everyone points me out.
The 72 Dolphins is infamously the no-name defense. This one's the too many name defense.
Too many names, yeah.
Too many names.
Defenses were ahead of offenses this season for a lot of it. Like the best teams in the NFL had the best defenses. We're sitting here talking about this defense and how good it was and how hard it is to isolate one player. And yeah, that's the sport of football. It's a team sport. It's hard to isolate individual players, and Seattle really exemplified that all year.
We're ranking the actual threats from the absolute frauds.
Your contenders, who do you got?
My contenders. So I have Sporting, and I say that because they have had a strong top 8 finish over some other heavyweight teams. They're actually very, very hard to break down as a squad, and they're very, very strong in transition.
And they got a guy named Luis Suarez, which is fun. Just not...
Guard your ears.
That face right there says it all. I mean, they're celebrity fans. Celebrity fans sometimes get a bad knock. They do. Like, we talk a lot about, how many bandwagons there are. No, not Taran Killam. This says everything about how my guy feels about his beloved Rams. He joins us now. You know him from his scene-stealing work on SNL, Hamilton, Single Parents, and more. Now he stars in NBC. Stumble airs Fridays, 8:30, 7:30 Central on NBC. Taran, appreciate it. No face paint today, man? Like, we mailing it in? We don't get the face paint?
There are too many embarrassing losses in our like 13-4 season. Those 4 losses were brutal, you guys.
You know what? You're talking to a Saints fan and a Raiders fan, so we don't want to hear it
Oh, no, a
about
Saints
how hard
fan.
life has been. I know.
We're going to start talking about pass
Like-
interference in no time. I know it. No.
And
I will never forget it. I will never let any Rams fan live it down. And I am also a Saints fan from St. Louis. So the Rams just continue to find ways to break my heart.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh no. Oh, you just had a bully on your show this morning. Like,
I know.
just keep
Where
taking.
I don't want to talk about it.
Taran, where's the Rams fandom come from?
I'm an LA guy, born and raised, and had no team for most of my life, and was such a diehard fantasy football fan, and just loved the sport itself and loved the culture of gathering on Sundays, and always promised myself whoever came back, in my lifetime, I was going to go all in on, and I was glad it was the Rams.
Even though the Rams have found a way to break my heart over and over again, we're such huge SNL fans on this show, so we're so happy to have you on. So much so that anytime I put my hair in a bun on top of my head, my family calls me Mokiki. So
amazing.
your legacy,
That's
your
the
SNL
coolest.
legacy absolutely lives on. But to get into your Rams
Amazing.
fandom, we saw that Sean McVay was going to run it back. Matthew Stafford announced at the NFL Honors that he will be back next year.
MVP
does
Matthew
it feel
Stafford,
like-
please.
Pardon me. MVP, Matthew Stafford. Thank you so
Thank you very
much for clarifying that. But does it feel like the 2026 Rams have a little bit of a last dance feel to it?
Listen, we have 2 first-round draft picks for the first time, I think, in franchise history. And all I want is to draft a kick blocker frontline, special teams frontline, and punt returner, and then we're golden. Like, it was just a season. Speaking to 2025, a season of heartbreak where the wins were like nail biters and the losses were embarrassing, honestly, like last second heartbreak, embarrassing. So I think that there's just a few things to figure out. And yeah, we're in really good shape. And, McVay and Stafford, having been a fan of them, McVay, I've watched his whole career here in LA, and he's really motivated by spite. When he's our run it back after the Super Bowl, he had nothing to prove. So there's like a laissez-faire about our team. Now there's something to prove, and I think they're going to come back really hungry.
There's always a lot of conversation about home field advantage in LA. You're there. I think, in fairness, it takes a little time to reestablish roots anytime you're new to a city. So what's the buzz in LA overall right now for the Rams versus when they first came back?
We're taking our licks. You know what I mean? We're a new organization technically on paper, and you kind of just have to earn your stripes. And my hot take on it is that we have the best sports stadium in the world. And we have some of the best weather in the world. So, of course, fans from any other city want to travel here. And not a lot of people are going to, the Northeast in wintertime. So, LA is a transplant city, too. And not having had a team of their own for, it was like 20, 23, 24 years, something like that. There's so many transplants who live here who brought their team love with them, right? So it's understandable. And as a season ticket holder, I go to every game, but I know that there's a lot of local season ticket holder fans who love taking your money and then love, what did Stafford say? Let's snatch their souls.
That is,
he said,
that is elite work.
He said that to Devontae. He's like, let's go snatch their souls. That's how it feels when the stadium, when we're kind of being outshone in our own stadium, and you see, the sad visiting team going up the escalators after we've beat them in SoFi.
Just once in my life, I want to say something that cool. I want to just say, snatch their soul, like in a key moment with no script in front of me. I just want to say that. Okay. All right, Terry. So
it was no eye contact, and that there was some sort of drawing of the fingers on the towel as he did it too. Like, yeah.
Oh,
look at this maniac.
Look at
what you've invited onto your show. Just a full.
This is incredible. That's what we love this. All right. So you're part of an elite club of celebrity NFL superfans. All right. So we're going to channel a couple of your projects to play a little game here. All right. What we're going to do is it's a game we're calling Stumble or High Potential. Two shows, by the way, that I absolutely love. All right. In honor of two of your shows. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to channel maybe some of your better impressions to tell us if these NFL teams are going to rebound or regress next season. All right. So we'll go with the Kansas City Chiefs. All right. Brad Pitt, Chiefs superfan. Brad Pitt, tell us if they're going to stumble or if they have high potential next season.
Listen, love the Chiefs. Love the Chiefs. Mahomes is the guy. Dynasty team. One of the best. But they're getting old. Travis has to go on tour.
Travis has to go on tour. That's amazing.
As soon as Fitz said Brad Pitt, I could see the eyebrows going into, doing its work. And
he locked
in.
There's
fully taking
little
over.
twerk.
Yeah. The impression isn't just a voice. It's the face. It's all of the expressions as well. But you also have a killer Ashton Kutcher impression. Bears fan Ashton Kutcher. So will the Bears next season, are they going to continue this high potential, this magic they had this past season? Or will the magic wear off? Are they going to stumble?
They've got high potential. Caleb Williams is it. This is one of the last seasons they'll play in actual Chicago. They've got to win it.
Oh, my God. Oh, throwing shade at a stadium relocation, too, in that. I love this. You're on this. This is amazing. All right, last one. Despite being, okay, I can't figure this one out. How you can be a massive Longhorns fan and also a Commanders fan, but that's Matthew McConaughey. So can Matthew tell us if the Commanders are going to stumble or have high potential next season?
Commanders, Master and Commander. Longhorn passion down south. Master and Commander domination out east. Commanders are searching for their souls, for their new identity. Who are they? What do they want? They want touchdowns. They want wins. I think they got high potential. But to get high, you got to hike. And what happens on a hike? Sometimes your foot hits a rock and you stumble. That's why I think they got stumble potential. All right.
Oh, so good.
It's always very philosophical with Matthew McConaughey. It's never just, hey, I don't think they're going to be as good this year. It's like, let's look deep into your soul
A
and let's
thoughtful
go on a
individual.
truly, very much so. But I mean, we just got a small sneak peek into all of the great impersonations that you do, all of the great characters that you have done. Do you have a greatest of all time? One of your favorite impressions or characters that you've ever played?
Oh my gosh, what a big question.
That is a big. I'm
There's a
putting you on
character I
the
did on
spot
Weekend
here.
Update called Jebediah Atkinson, who's always a joy to perform. That was a character that the update team and Seth Meyers had written for me, and that was just there was always something a little loose about it because in the first his first appearance on Update, like I had my own stumble, not to bring it back to promotion for my new show on NBC Friday nights at 8:30 or binge it on Peacock. But yeah, there was a looseness with that, and playing especially with Seth was always brought me a lot of joy, and always felt it was sort of like a throwback to my early days performing live at the Groundlings here in LA. So that'll always have a special place in my heart.
So it's interesting to me, Terry, because as Caroline's mentioned, we're both massive Saturday Night Live fans. It's a huge part of both of our lives. You were also part of Mad TV, and I've had, as the older person in the room, I've had to educate Caroline a little bit on like Living Color and the competition to that, right? Why has there never been a competitor that has been like in a world where everything's replicated? Why has no one ever really been able to even attack the throne of SNL?
You know, it's sort of the defining dynasty here for late night sketch comedy. It really sort of that late night element, especially, and I think really it all comes down to Lorne Michaels. Like if you look at all 50 seasons, the most successful long running show had just the thing that's kind of been the constant has been Lorne and his ability to surround himself with funny people, with intelligent people. But there's just nothing like it, really. Like having done both Mad and SNL, they really are completely different beasts. That live element of the show goes on at 11:30 p.m. on Saturdays. It's thrilling. It's the closest thing to doing live theater on television, and there's nothing like it. And the department heads at SNL, like really, like that's the secret too. Is no shade to every show I've worked on since, but each department head at SNL, from hair, wardrobe, props, makeup, are the best at what they do because they do it in 3.5 days. And it's a special thing, isn't it? And I think the brilliance of SNL is that each new generation, speaking to what you're saying, but with your shared fandom, each new generation kind of takes possession, like whether it's in like middle school, high school, college, you watch your cast, you watch your generation's cast and you fall in love with it and you take ownership. And in that way, there's a lot of crossover with sports, right? Like who's your roster? Who's your all-star roster? So yeah, it's the best. I think obviously in my rambling answer, there's no one right answer, but I think to oversimplify it, it's just, there's nothing else like it.
It is so true that SNL casts are kind of, landmarks in my lifetime. I think back to like my childhood SNL cast was Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and Seth Meyers doing Weekend Update. And I look back at old episodes and I think, oh, I remember where I was in that time. But you were part of an elite cast on SNL. I'm sure, Fitz and I think back to your time on SNL and where we were in our lives. But you worked on a great cast on SNL. You worked on Mad TV. You've had so many projects since then. Who's the funniest person you think you've ever worked with?
I'm going to say Fred Armisen.
Ooh.
Nobody can make me laugh like Fred Armisen. And one of the true perks of the job of my time on SNL was like sitting across from him at table read and seeing some of the brilliant stuff that kind of never made it onto the show itself, but then maybe later made it onto Portlandia or into his stand-up for drummers. He just is effortless. And I remember my very first day at SNL in the writer's office, and it's so exciting, and you don't know what to do, and you don't know where you're supposed to go. and Fred's writing office was across the hall from ours. And he comes in, he goes, "Hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm so excited you're here. Congratulations. It's huge. Now, just so you know, this fridge," and he points to the mini fridge we have in our office. He's like, "This fridge is like dedicated only to milk. So just keep it stocked with milk. We want whole milk, 2%, skim. Some people do almond, but just make sure it's always filled. Otherwise, Lauren gets furious." And that was not true.
How long did you end up buying milk? I can only imagine. That's a
yeah, exactly.
Great...
I went straight to Gristedes and just like bought them out of milk.
Incredible. Man, I always enjoy talking to you. Your work has influenced so many of us for so many years. I'll be honest. When I set my DVR to record Stumble, it's because I love mockumentary type stuff. I love Christopher Guest type stuff. I was all in. I didn't even know you were in it. And then I saw you there, and I was like, oh, my God, that's amazing. So congrats on the continued success and the fact that you've had so many multiple chapters in entertainment that have absolutely influenced everybody. Guys, check out Stumble. You can watch it on Peacock. You can watch it on NBC. Fridays, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Taran, we really appreciate your time. Best of luck to the Rams this year. When they're in the Super Bowl next year, you got to come back and hang out with us again.
I would love it. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And thanks for all your kind words. I'm about to have the best Wednesday in history, I think.
Let's go. That's what we're good for.
Whose house?
Oh, God. There we go. And we didn't even dig into the pass interference. Thanks, Taran. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for hanging out
That's
with us.
next time.
All right, coming up next on Yahoo Sports Daily, does the NBA actually have a tanking problem? The answer, I promise you, is not what you expect.
You covered Darnold with the Jets. Where are you kind of just feeling about him?
Another game with 3 games in a row, no turnovers for Sam. The sack avoidance snipe from Sam was incredible. The back and forth between Sam and Milton Williams was honestly really impressive for Sam on my part, because I thought that it wasn't his best game of the season, but it was the game he needed to have, which was clean. He won the Super Bowl. He's going to get a contract extension. It's kind of cool to see his redemption story.
What was it like being at MSG? Like in the back, the locker room? Like, could you feel that it was a little different?
It's a total different experience from being there as a spectator to actually being there backstage and all of that stuff. Total different experience. I was so tuned into my fight. I don't even think I was looking at the referee. I'm just there, just kind of just like looking down. I'm listening to what he's saying. At the same time, I'm just thinking about the fight. I'm like, yeah, all right. Y'all done? You ready? Right? Yeah. All right, it's time to go.
The Premier League has gotten so successful. Survival has become such a priority. Maybe that doesn't lead to the most entertaining football match.
The one thing that you want to avoid is having this runaway first place team by Boxing Day, which happens more often than not. This has been, I would argue, a little bit more exciting this season. The entire mid-table is packed.
Yeah.
So
as an Everton fan, I'm like, yeah, we in the mix.
For Clippers fans, I just feel bad, Tom. I mean, I feel bad. It's always something with the Clippers. It's always something. And then, the year begins and the whole aspiration thing, and then the team sucks. And then they start winning and they make a run and they're in the play-in and the playoffs are ahead. And then this all happens. James Harden does it again. He asks for another trade.
This is a crisis for the league. When you have a third of the league with incentives to lose as much as possible in order to maximize their odds of having a superstar fall into their lap. Remember, Adam Silver is out here trying to say that the league integrity is the number one thing on their list. It's the top priority for the league, but he's also admitting that the league's incentive structure demands that teams are losing on purpose or incentivizes teams to lose on purpose. And so you want to talk about unintended consequences. He mentioned it. Economists would look at this system and say, this is entirely backwards.
That is from yesterday's Yahoo Sports Daily. And you see here, the Bomani. The NBA has a massive tanking problem. Here's how Bomani and Tom would fix it. The only thing that's going to actually change the way teams operate and not try to lose is if you take the draft out altogether. I thought a lot about Tom's answer yesterday with us on this show regarding tanking. And the more I thought about it, the more I decided the NBA actually, Caroline, doesn't have a tanking problem. In fact, the NBA has an image problem, not a tanking problem. And to this, I would say, if you believe the NBA has a tanking problem, how's it any different than any other league that we're talking about in the NFL? As he said, a third of the NBA, or any other league in sports, he said a third of the NBA is currently tanking. Last time I checked, 10 teams in the NFL last year had double-digit losses. In fact, in the NFL last year, we watched the Giants and Raiders play a game with almost a month left in the season where they were intentionally pulling everybody off of the roster. And we sat there at the time and started yelling, oh, my God, are they tanking? Obviously, they were clearly tanking. If you look across the spectrum, a third of the NBA is bad. Okay, well, about a third of the NHL is bad. About a third of the NFL is bad. Just under a third of Major League Baseball is bad. If we're really talking about tanking and we're talking about the NBA having a tanking problem, how does every other sport not have the same problem? They do. If you don't believe it's a problem for everybody else, why is it a problem for the NBA? It's a problem for the NBA because the narrative is taken off. Like, we love the narrative that the NFL gives us parity when, in fact, no sport gives us less parity. It's dynastic in every championship run over and over and over. And the same teams are bad over and over and over. Yet somehow we sit here and let the lie live constantly that the NFL has parity. Why? Because we've been told parity exists, not because parity actually exists. We're being told that the NBA has a tanking problem, so much so that we're sitting here looking at ways to rip apart the league without actually looking at one point and saying, okay, is the NBA really any different than everybody else? If a draft is the thing that incentivizes wanting to suck, doesn't it do that for every single major American professional sport? Yes, it does. And are there teams every year that are likely finding a way to get near the top of the draft? Yeah, they are. And are we yelling about it for the duration of the entire regular season in Major League Baseball? No. Are we yelling about it in the NHL for hours and weeks and months? No. We do this about the NBA because, to be honest, what's become really popular is finding a way to you-know-what all over the NBA. The number of people that say the NBA sucks but hasn't watched a single second of it. The popular thing to do has been to focus on the drama, and tanking is just drama for people to focus on. I don't believe the NBA has a tanking problem, Caroline, because if I do, I have to believe that the entire sports world has a tanking problem, and I don't believe that.
It is funny. We only talk about tanking and this crisis of tanking in the NBA. We don't talk about it in the NHL. We don't talk about it in Major League Baseball. We don't talk about it in the NFL. When we do talk about it in the NFL, we kind of laugh about it. How many times did we say, oh, ha, 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 that, everyone's tanking for Tua? Whenever we talk about it in the NFL, we talk about it because it is so clear and so obvious what these teams are doing, but nobody has a problem with it. And I don't think anybody has a problem with it because you are incentivized to be bad in professional sports. The worst team gets the best pick. The best team gets the worst pick. That's the construct of parity, because you talk about how the leagues don't actually have parity because we have different owners. All of these teams are independently owned, and owners have different income and different money that they invest into their teams. But at least what we have in professional sports is a construct that allows for parity. That if you are a bad team, you get a good pick, a good team gets a bad pick. That, the whole construct of the NFL is they want every single team to be 9-8 and 8-9 every single year because, you have this aspect of unpredictability, that at least the league is constructed to be that way, even though it isn't that way because we have bad ownership and bad coaches and we have, talent differentials everywhere. Parity doesn't actually exist, but at least there's the illusion of it. It's the same exact thing in the NBA. I don't think the NBA has a tanking problem because I don't think that tanking is a problem. I think it's an inevitability. When you have a construct that incentivizes being bad, you're going to have teams that are bad that take advantage of that. I don't think that there are, average casual sports fans out there that are like, you know why I'm not watching the NBA? Because the Utah Jazz are bad. No, you don't have to attract new fans to a specific league because of the bottom of the league. People are attracted to dominance and to winning. We have a new era of NBA fans because the Golden State Warriors were a dynasty and it was impossible not to pay attention to them because we have superstars in this league, whether you're a LeBron James fan or if you're a younger Anthony Edwards fan or a Victor Wembanyama fan. People are attracted to greatness. People are not deterred from certain sports because the bottom of the barrel is just a little bit too bad and it's so unsavory to watch. So I don't think that the NBA has a tanking problem. Frankly, if it's because I don't think tanking is a problem. I think the hope of tanking is a positive thing. That if you're a Jazz fan out there, you're like, man, my team stinks, but at least we'll have a lottery pick. I'm so of the belief that without sports, there would be no next year. And at least you have next year to look forward to if you are a fan of a bad team. If you're a fan of a bad team and we don't get any sort of incentives for being bad, what do you have to look forward to? You're just swimming around in your misery with no end or, little silver lining to look forward to at the end of it.
You made such an important point when you talked about viewers and what they go to, fans of the sport. I'm not talking about the casual people that make money making sure that they say something inflammatory that gets clicks, but actual viewers. If you're a Major League Baseball fan, and you're sitting in a bar watching a baseball game, and somebody walks up, pulls up a chair next to you and says, last year, man, did you see the White Sox over the weekend? No, because the White Sox suck, so I don't watch the White Sox. And that's the end of it. I just pulled it up to remind myself. The White Sox finished 60 and 102. They won 37% of their games, right? If you are an NHL fan and you sit next to somebody this year and you're like, oh, man, you catch the Canucks the other night? No, why would I watch the Canucks? They suck. All right, that's it. That's the end of the conversation. If you're just a casual NFL fan that doesn't care one way or the other and you walk up to him and say, oh, man, Raiders playing the Giants with 3 weeks left in the season, can't wait for that game. You know what everybody did? They laughed. Now, it's a little different because fantasy football and I understand gambling and all of these things that we want to talk about. But when you want to talk about how healthy your sport actually is, your sport is defined by what gets the most eyeballs to come watch the biggest events. That's always going to be it. We have this conversation every year in the NBA, frankly, because we're bored with the sports calendar. Like the middle of the NBA season every year is a conversation about tanking because there aren't other sports to distract us and there aren't other big moments to talk about. So now all of a sudden, when everybody has nothing to talk about and you have a bunch of analysts that haven't watched 3 seconds of a Nuggets game, so they don't want to tell you about actual action on the court, instead, the easy thing to yell about is, oh my God, all these teams are tanking. We spend more time talking about the teams that are terrible in the NBA than we do giving valuable airtime to teams that are actually good. Why? In part because it's easier to cover something that's a soap opera story. You don't have to watch as many games. Also, to be honest, because y'all click on it. Like if we sit down today and we decide that we're going to have a long-form breakdown of what makes the 3, 4, and 5 seeds in the East and West possibly championship contenders, you ain't going to click on it. But if we turn around and give you a headline that says tanking is killing the NBA, you'll click on it, right? Like people are consuming the easiest common denominator in all of this. So because there aren't other sports to distract us until we get to March Madness, and because there isn't football to sit here and take our mindset away from it, we talk about tanking like it's a huge issue. It's not. It just isn't. At the end of the day, as long as the playoffs are making money, as long as people are watching championships, as long as the stars are out here playing, most casuals are going to be fed by what they see, Caroline.
And most casuals, I don't think, are going to be concerned with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen not playing in the fourth quarter. Are Utah Jazz fans frustrated by it? 100%. And they should be. But at least you have something to look forward to. At least if you're a Jazz fan, you can say, I understand why they're doing this. I keep going back to why is it such a big deal in the NBA? Like, I understand the sports calendar, that it falls, all of these teams that are very obviously and clearly tanking. Yes, it falls in a time when we don't have any football. It's a fairly slow time in the sports calendar right now that we're living in. But why are we so obsessed with the Utah Jazz tanking, but we have zero problem with the Raiders tanking? Did you have a problem with the Raiders tanking, Fitz, as a Raiders fan?
No,
with
I got
sitting
the
Max
Crosby
in the final couple. Right. You have the number 1 pick in the draft. That, like, who cares? What, you're sitting Max Crosby in the final game of the season. We had Raiders fans cheering whenever their opponent in week 18 scored because it was like, yes, thank you, we're losing. And it's a positive thing. And we keep wanting to diagnose tanking. That, okay, do you take away protected picks? We heard from Tom in that incoming clip about, hey, just take away the draft entirely and basically do a rookie free agency. Talk to any college sports fan out there, and they will tell you why that is not a good construct for building teams moving forward, because you essentially, in its entirety, take away parity. College sports has never had parity. There's not even an illusion of parity. It's never existed, and I don't think it ever will exist. Sure, NIL and the transfer portal kind of levels the playing field a little bit. Now the gap between Alabama and Northern Illinois is just 1,799 miles instead of 1,800 miles. There's just inherently a gap that's going to exist when it is a total and complete fair market. If you want to at least have the idea of, or the illusion of parity, if you want to sell to your fans of your sport, hey, on any given year, anyone can win because it's an even playing field here. You can't sell that anymore if you take the draft away entirely. It just doesn't work that way.
What we need is a distraction, and that's what we'll get next. Nathan Chen going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on everything going down in Italy right now. Just when you thought it couldn't get any more dramatic, it always does. We'll talk to Nathan about it next.
Who's the dream fight? Like, who's the final boss for you?
Naoya Inoue.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I feel like he's the guy.
What a freaking fight that would be.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
How far away do you think you are from this, like, maybe being a thing?
I would say maybe a year.
Yeah.
Maybe just a year away. Yeah, it's
Is the
right
dream
there.
to try to, like, get more belts so that entices him to come after you? Okay.
100%. He's going to get a wake-up call fighting a guy like me.
And Kenneth Walker wins Super Bowl MVP.
The way he's kind of molded his game to work for him has been fun because it's such a hard turn from where he started. Sometimes it feels like a more dramatic version of like how Le'Veon Bell used to run the ball, how Le'Veon would stop and wait and see things open. But Le'Veon, like, he was hugging the ass of his centers and his guards. Kenneth is like, he's like step back so he can see the whole picture open up. And then when it hits, he's off.
The Sixers, to me, are the biggest loser of the trade deadline. You get these middling picks for Jared McCain, one of your most promising young players, to duck the tax. Just a joke. If I'm a Sixers fan, I'm infuriated. The Sixers, losers this trade deadline. It's just so disappointing for Philadelphia, man.
Who in college football could experience that same level of redemption arc? And I was thinking, we've actually kind of seen it a little bit in the past. I'd say Jaden Daniels did. Remember when his teammates were like throwing his things out of his locker and talking trash about him when he left Arizona State, and then he goes and wins the Heisman at LSU?
It was a little bit of a turnaround. I wonder what those guys are doing now.
Alyssa gets a 76.59 in the women's short program yesterday, has her third going into the women's free skate final on Thursday. For more on that, we bring in our Olympic correspondent, two-time Olympic gold medalist, Nathan Chen, joining us. Nathan, we talked a little bit about how comfortable she looked, how beautiful that skate was. What stood out to you? What did you take away from her moment?
I mean, Alyssa, since she's been coming back, has just been so full of joy. And this comeback for her was really a moment for her to take complete control over her own skating, her own destiny. And it really you can tell that the pressure just does not get to her. She does not, pressure doesn't exist in her vocabulary. And she's been able to really embrace this moment and just having fun out there. And that was the advice that I got from my sports psych as I was heading into 22. Go out there and have fun, right? You've trained, you've done all the right steps. So now is your moment to just celebrate.
She really did look like she was just having so much fun. I mean, the joy was palpable through the TV screen. But if we want to look at the rest of the Blade Angels, Isabel Levito and Amber Glenn finished 8th and 13th, respectively. It was really difficult to watch Amber Glenn's reaction to her skate. But if you look at both Isabeau and Amber, how would you diagnose it? Why did they miss the podium? What went wrong for them?
Yeah, I mean, judging is tricky, and especially in women when so many athletes are skating clean, so many athletes are putting down really exceptional skates. Your margin for error just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So, if you just purely look at the points, there's not a huge difference between the top skaters, and I wouldn't count any of the three women, out from contention for the podium. So I really think that there's we're in a great spot, and I think the free program will certainly be very exciting.
Okay, so we got some questions from Twitter X specifically. We wanted to bring you into this because we're a show for the people and want to make sure that we get the answers right. So we got asked about an Amber quote. An Amber quote, this is a quote. I thought most of the competitors in this round qualified to the medal round. I know she had a rough skate, but can she bounce back, or am I mistaken? That's the question we're getting. Can someone explain? So can you explain a little bit of how this works and the ability to bounce back to still get to the podium?
Yeah, she definitely has the opportunity to bounce back. I think she has the triple axel, right? And I think there's consideration around, does she do another triple axel? Can she add a little bit more of a technical bonus to help support her journey back to the podium? But at this point in time, I think the name of the game is skate clean. Don't think about all the rest of the things. Know what you've done. You've trained these programs a million times. You know for a fact that you can do it. Stick to that. And that would be sort of my best advice. But as we've seen through this whole competition, skating is very variable. What happens on the day is not always what's expected to happen. So stay focused, stay controlled with what you're doing, and just hope for the best. And really, those things are going to be so out of her control. So really, it's going to be exciting to see. And I think I'm hopeful that all of our U.S. women are able to put out really, really strong, happy, confident skates. And at the end of the day, right, as an athlete, if you can look back on it and be proud of the work that you did, nothing else matters. The medals are nice, and that's like a big, cherry on top. But at the end of the day, again, you want to look back on this event and this competition to be like, I did the best that I could in the situation that I was given, and be proud of that.
No doubt. And I know we all wish that for every Olympian. As long as you can go home and say, I gave it my all, then you can live with that for the next 4 years. But we have another question from social media, and we thought, who better person to ask than our resident expert? So Nicole asks, wait, genuine question. They said that she popped her third jump and did a double instead of a triple. Does that mean that she purposefully did the double instead, or it's an accident that happens in the air and she didn't manage to do 3?
Yeah. So it's really common in skating to have a slight rush or slight slip on the takeoff. And as a result, we kind of autonomously will bail out. It's called popping the jump from a triple to a double, or from a quad to a triple, or even a quad to a double. So oftentimes we'll see this when the takeoff isn't perfect. And unfortunately, that's just the nature of skating, and it happens, and you got to learn how to, move on from it. And it's challenging, but unfortunately also for the women, when they double a solo element in the short program, that invalidates their jump entirely. So that's where the huge point deficit came in for her. But again, the free program, she has a really technical free program and a lot of points still on the table. So she definitely needs to take advantage of those and just, do the best that she can.
All right, so stick there for a second and educate me. How much of a skate is about what they actually do versus about what the judges are informed they're going to do in advance and how they perform to that?
Mm-hmm. So you provide to the judges a rough template for what the jumps you're about to do, but you have complete control over which elements you end up actually doing, though you have to stick within the realm of what's allowed. So it's different from event to event, from the discipline to discipline, right? From women's to men's to pairs to dance. But at the end of the day, she definitely has the options to do different programs. But again, I think most of the time, the default is that you train the program, you compete the program that you train. And that would be the best advice most skaters would give and the most coaches would give. So I'm assuming that that'll be the strategy that she sticks to. But right now, focus on, getting all this out of your head, focus on what's next. You have complete control over your destiny moving forward. And, just one thing at a time.
Oh, just seeing those photos. I want to give her a hug so badly.
Heartbreaking.
And a reason why Amber Glenn had so many expectations, you brought it up. We've heard it from so many commentators in Milan as well, that she has the triple axel, that it is something that is so coveted. Amber Glenn is not the only one that has the triple axel. We saw Amy Nakai, who is in the lead from Japan at just 17 years old. She also landed a clean triple axel. She has a slight lead going into the free skate. So what did you see from her and her performance?
Yeah, it was the triple axel was so easy and so nice that I almost like mistook it for a double at first. And then I was like, wait, that score was crazy. Oh, okay, that was a triple axel. She's incredible. And certainly this current podium, put down really, really solid skates, and genuinely very impressed with the level of skating, the quality of not only just the jumps, but the performance and the commitment to the music and the character and the spin quality and the speed and flow. Everything was really exceptional. So I'm excited to see them continue carrying that into the free program and have really just continue to elevate the level of women's figure skating.
Caroline mentions wanting to reach the screen and give a hug. I still want to do that to Ilya Malinin. He made comments yesterday about the overwhelming support he's received, though, since failing to reach the podium. What did that say to you?
I mean, I think that one goes to show that the community is supportive, right? We want to see our friends and our community succeed, and it's really excellent to be able to see that. And I love to know, that he's having the support, he's having the people reach out to him, and I know that that'll help him a lot as he moves towards the next Olympics.
No doubt. I mean, you can tell that he's hard enough on himself. You don't need the entire world and the entire internet being tough on you. So I love to hear that he's feeling the love for the United States and the world of figure skating. I do want to go back to one thing that you just mentioned, though, about like the character playing into the program, whether it's what you're wearing or the music or just the entire energy and vibe of the program. That was palpable yesterday. That, I saw so many skaters, as soon as the music went off, it was like, they came back to earth, like they were playing this character. And then as soon as they were done, it was like, okay, we're going back to who we really are, a real personality here. How much of that plays into a score or how the judges perceive you as this kind of this character that you're playing?
Yeah, it's a big part of the score, right? We have the technical element score and the program component score. The program component score encompasses this presentation, this character, this performance, and this interpretation of the music and who you're trying to play. I think what's really cool about skating, right, is that we have this opportunity to either play yourself or play someone completely different from what you would normally portray yourself as. And it just allows you an opportunity to absorb this moment in a very different way. And so it's a lot of fun to watch as a spectator. As a skater, it's a lot of fun because you get to have a moment where you world, but it's a lot of fun to be able to see how they interpret and how they carry themselves through the program. Is a very, very important part of the score. We also have that technical element score, so we need to focus on ensuring that the elements are there, that you're recovering between jumps, that you're not getting ahead of yourself, that you're focusing on all the right things as you're entering these jumps. You can't lose the character. You can't forget that the program also exists around the elements, and so it's a sport in that.
I mean, you've mentioned focus a couple of times, and I keep thinking about the fact that nothing's normal at the Olympics for everybody, right? The Olympic Village is different. The whole experience is different. Your teammates are different. What's the key in your mind to compartmentalizing what's already happened, good or bad, and then coming out, as you've said a few times, skate your program? How hard is that for most Olympians to do in this process when nothing is normal leading up to what you're about to do?
Totally. I would say rely on the experiences that you've had. At the end of the day, when you're on the ice, when you're doing your 6-minute warm-up, when you're doing your 20 or 30-minute warm-up before the event, when you step on as the skater before you is getting their scores called, those are like really challenging moments and very nerve-wracking moments. I think for me, the most challenging is, waiting for that 20 seconds right before they call your name, that anticipation in yourself, but also in the environment. But it's not something that you've never experienced before. This happens every single competition. So find those cues, find those things that you think about, whether they're internal or external, that allow you to put yourself in the best spot before heading into that program. Throughout the program, there's always a few key cues, a few things that you've visualized a million times, that you've trained many times in training. rely on that experience, rely on that those repetitions, and have that internal confidence. Even if you feel that confidence, believe that confidence, and usually things will turn out the way you want them to go.
We have just one figure skating event remaining at the Olympic Games. So as of right now, I know there's still some time left, but as of right now, what's been your favorite memory from your experience in Milan?
It's been great. I mean, there's definitely been so many ups and downs, and I'll have to think about that for a minute, but I definitely am really proud of Misha Shirodov for coming in and, putting down a really excellent skate, and getting that Olympic gold medal. I think that's something he can be very proud of. And I believe that was Kazakhstan's second Winter Olympic gold or something to that effect. So, being one of so few it's so incredible to see him have accomplished that. I'm really happy for the Japanese pair team as well, and I've known them and I've seen them grow and skate over the many years, and just really proud to have been able to know them and skate alongside them, and now they're Olympic gold medalists, and that's very, very special. So I'm really looking forward to being able to see that happen for the women tonight, tomorrow, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's certainly been a very different experience, right? That I'm not competing and I've been watching from the side, and I feel like I want to be out there doing something to help, but there's obviously very little that I can actually do. But it's been a really exciting Olympics, and one that was certainly unexpected in many ways.
How you feel? I mean, you told us last time you were excited about the men's hockey team. Big one today, 3:00 here in the States for this matchup. How you feeling? How you feel about the men's hockey team?
I'm feeling good. It's going to be exciting, and hoping that they pull through with a victory and have a really good final round in a couple days.
Well, we appreciate your expertise. We appreciate your time as always. The breakdowns have been absolutely incredible. Nathan, thanks for joining us. Stay safe out there. Continue to enjoy it, and we appreciate you, brother.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been awesome. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much,
Nathan Chen has been absolutely incredible for us. We can't thank him enough. It's just been great, and we can't thank him enough for his absolutely amazing insight. All right, coming up next, LeBron back in LA next year? Maybe. We'll tell you about it.
Peterson looked like the clear-cut number one pick in the first half of that game. He looked like the clear-cut number one pick. The fluidity on the floor, the ease in which he moved off ball defensively, creating havoc. He looked majestic.
Sometimes it just comes down to as simple as this dude moves the way basketball players are born to move. Was Kevin Durant the last college scorer that made it look as effortless?
Did you go to the casino after the fight?
Hell yeah.
How'd you do?
We're up.
Up?
We're up.
Well done.
We're up.
Were you just walking around there after the fight and people recognizing you? Like, weren't you the guy that was just on the UFC?
Yeah, that's where I get recognized the most.
Really?
The other gambling legends, everyone recognizes me there. Anywhere else I go, no one knows me. But if I go there, everyone points me out.
The 72 Dolphins is infamously the no-name defense. This one's the too many name defense.
Too many names,
there's too many names.
Defenses were ahead of offenses this season for a lot of it. Like the best teams in the NFL had the best defenses. We're sitting here talking about this defense and how good it was and how hard it is to isolate one player. And yeah, that's the sport of football. It's a team sport. It's hard to isolate individual players, and Seattle really exemplified that all year.
We're ranking the actual threats from the absolute frauds.
Your contenders, who do you got?
My contenders. So I have Sporting, and I say that because they have had a strong top 8 finish over some other heavyweight teams. They're actually very, very hard to break down as a squad, and they're very, very strong in transition.
And they got a guy named Luis Suarez, which is fun. Just
guard your ears.
This is probably the best, most competitive NBA All-Star game in years. Love to see it. The great reviews still pouring in on the All-Star changes. Absolutely love it. So we're going to figure out if we love some of these NBA headlines. Caroline Fenton, Jason Fitz. Let's take a look around the NBA with some love to see it. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to couch it with love. Like, do we love it? Do we not like it? Let's start with LeBron, all right? Been a lot of chatter about a LeBron-Cleveland reunion this offseason, but sources have told ESPN that if James wants to play a 24th season, he would be welcomed back in LA. So, what do you think? Do you love this? Would you love to see LeBron back in LA?
I would love to see LeBron back in Cleveland. Like, if I could write my own little storybook ending for LeBron's final season, assuming next year is his final season, it would be where it all started. It would be where he's from. It would be where he obviously has a very emotional and close connection to. It'd be Cleveland. But, like, if he wants to end his career in LA, like, sure, why not? Like, I don't hate it. Is it the ultimate story? No, but that's fine. You know, at least in LA, everyone knows what to expect from LeBron. My one fear or hesitation with LeBron going back to Cleveland is the level of expectation that LeBron would have to be the guy, to be the savior, to be LeBron when LeBron was at his peak. LeBron's not that anymore. LeBron's got sciatica. LeBron's got arthritis. LeBron's in his 40s. LeBron, can he be LeBron? Sure.
LeBron
He can't be that. Exactly. LeBron can't be that on every single given night. LeBron cannot single-handedly carry the load of a franchise on his shoulders. I feel like that would be the expectations in Cleveland. At least if he stays in LA, everybody knows what they're going to get from LeBron. I also feel like LeBron's just happy in LA. LeBron wants to live in LA. LeBron wants to, be a Laker. It's not the best story out there, but I don't hate it.
Look, to be clear, if LeBron genuinely has the opportunity this offseason to pick between the Lakers and the Cavaliers, and the money is the same and everything's the same, I think LeBron's going to stay in LA. I don't think he leaves Cleveland just because he wants to get out of LA. That being said, I do think that you make a good point about, he's got a life out there. He's got business out there. He's got all of these things out there. Life is pretty easy for LeBron James, the billionaire in Los Angeles. Like, that's not a bad place to be. But if I'm being asked if I like the storyline, no. I don't want him to stay in LA just because it's a constant cloud of conversation. Like, I want the Lakers to decide that they're going to move forward in this new Luka era, and they're going to be a different sort of team. They're going to build around Luka. They're going to make him the star and make sure everything gravitates around Luka moving forward. I want closure, and I want to move forward. This is just so much of what I say every time I roll my eyes at Tiger coming back in golf. Like, at some point, you just never get new storylines if you just keep running these old ones into the ground. As a fan of the NBA, the thought of an entire another year of LeBron Lakers drama that we cook up constantly because we love talking about it just kind of makes me want to throw up in my mouth. But look, again, I think if he has the choice, he would pick the Lakers over the Cavs going into next season. So I fear that we're going to get stuck with just worst. I mean, just the retirement tour, the one more year coming up for the Lakers when they treat it in every city he goes to is just going to be exhausting. It's just going to be exhausting. All right, how about this one? Speaking of storylines that never go away, do you love this? Or you love to see this? Okay, Danny Green, our buddy, says if the Knicks want to keep Giannis long-term, they should monitor Kawhi's status in LA. Kawhi and Giannis, Milwaukee, would you love to see it?
I love this for the Clippers just because I feel like they need to, if you're moving on from James Harden, why are you holding on to Kawhi? So at that point, just get what you can get for him. I don't think I love this though. Just because, yes, Kawhi is having an insane season. He's averaging 28 points a game. He's playing great defense. Like, Kawhi is having almost like this second half of his career resurgence, finding the second wind this season. I mean, we saw it on display in the All-Star game as well. He went off for 30 points. I mean, Kawhi is still good for a Kawhi-like performance on any given night, but also I can't really shake the fact that he wasn't available last season. That Kawhi can go through these, these resurgences that we're seeing now, and then we just kind of see Kawhi go back into, this point where we ask ourselves, does Kawhi even really care? I don't think that's what Giannis needs at this point in his career. Giannis wants to win a championship. Is Kawhi that piece? Can Kawhi be a reliable piece to be that piece that Giannis needs? It'd sell tickets.
I mean, you're right. It would sell tickets. And you're probably right. It wouldn't necessarily suddenly catapult, as I'm going to be consistent. I continually say two people don't win an NBA championship. It takes an entire team. The Bucks have done a lot of things wrong. But if I could grow my hair out a little bit taller and then maybe spray paint it neon purple, I am a troll. And I just love the concept of trolling everybody that has just for years been convinced that they've got it figured out. Giannis is leaving the Bucks. The thought of trading for Kawhi, doing like a 2 or 3 year deal with Giannis this summer that keeps him in Milwaukee, and suddenly Kawhi and Giannis are together. Just watching every NBA head explode at the concept of we've wasted yet another year yelling about where Giannis is going to go. And he just ends up back in the same place. They give him another superstar. He tries it, runs it back again. I mean, the troll in me, Caroline, loves this. Not likes, the troll in me loves this. Because if you're bringing in Kawhi, then you're probably doing some sort of a deal with Giannis that gives you a few years. You're basically making a 2 or 3 year run at hoping you can overtake the East for the next couple of years. Again, you're right. This one piece does not make the Bucks a championship contender, but this one piece does blow up about 3 or 4 months worth of podcasts and first takes and every other show as they sit there and say, oh my God, we were convinced Giannis is like, even if Giannis signed a new mega deal in June, it would take roughly 3 games into the regular season before people are like, I don't care about the deal. Giannis is still going to want his way out of Milwaukee. So I'm sorry. The troll in me kind of likes this. The troll in me loves it. I'm all in. Give me neon green in honor of the Bucks, and we'll let me just troll the world. I don't know.
It'd be fun to talk about. That's for sure.
See, it'd be fun to not as much fun as Giannis getting traded though. All right, the last one comes courtesy here of our very own Dan Wolken, who's doing great work covering all sorts of Olympic stuff for Yahoo Sports. And his newest article is titled "Why Basketball Should Be in the Winter Olympics." It's a great read. He explains why it's a winter sport and it belongs in the Winter Olympics. Caroline Fenton, what say you?
It is a winter sport, but I disagree for several reasons. One, the NBA would never sign up for this. Like, the NBA would never be okay with an Olympic break in the middle of the season. No way, no how. Secondly, I view basketball in the Summer Olympics as like extra bonus basketball because we're getting basketball that matters on an international stage when we normally don't get basketball that matters in the summertime. If basketball moves to the Winter Olympics, well, then I'm just getting more basketball in the time that I get basketball. I'm not getting bonus basketball. I'm just getting basketball. So I will take more basketball over the same amount of basketball. You know what I mean? The third thing is I don't think I need basketball and hockey in the same Olympics. I like that we get, NBA extension in the Summer Olympics. We get NHL extension in the Winter Olympics. Like, they each have their own little Olympics and own Olympics that they can really own. I don't need 2 professional sports leagues, quote unquote, in the same Olympics. You see what I mean?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Spread them out. Spread the love.
I like the Winter Olympics more than I like the Summer Olympics. And one of the few things that I actually love about the Summer Olympics, I know, is watching USA basketball. Throw it over to the Winter Olympics, which I like. Also, that opens the door to, I don't know, a 20-game reduction in the NBA schedule, which is that's the real thing that the NBA needs to do is just lop off 20 games. So give me a little bit of a break. Now, all of a sudden, to your point, I love bonus basketball, but also at some point we'll figure out what that actually does to guys' legs that need that break because the NBA season goes basically 11 and a half months a year, right? So I think you get this little moment in the middle where we're distracted. We stop talking about tanking because we've lopped off a bunch of games in the NBA schedule. We get a little break from it. We watch Olympic basketball instead. In fact, I would love to see as many NBA players in the Olympics as possible. Boom, all of a sudden you get basketball interest that then carries over to the second half of the schedule while we're no longer talking about tanking. I love it. I'm in. Put the NBA in the Winter Olympics. Make it happen. Dan Wolken, you are now the commissioner of all things Olympics. I don't think you want that smoke. That's a lot of work and a lot of controversy, but I'm making him the head of the Olympic Committee, and Dan Wolken's first objective is to make basketball a winter sport. Good work by Dan. We have a buzzer.
Would that do away with the All-Star game?
Oh, yeah. We don't need the All-Star game. And now we get the NBA. The NBA leans straight into the Olympics. We're out of the All-Star game. I'm in on this. We
just spent the last week trying to fix the All-Star game, and now Fitz is like, do away with it. We don't need it anyway. Just make it the Olympics.
You're welcome, America. Actually, you're welcome, the whole wide world. Buzzer beater for you here. Some breaking news this morning. Mark Stein reporting this morning that Kyrie Irving will sit out the rest of this season as he continues his rehab from a torn ACL he suffered in March. The Mavs have announced Irving will attempt his comeback next season after missing all of this year. So the season was already a loss, essentially, for the Mavericks, as expected. But now all of a sudden, no Kyrie, and he will attempt his comeback next year. What do you think, Caroline?
Is this enough to get the Mavs right back into the lottery and right back in contention of getting the #1 overall pick for the second year in a row?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a chance. They're going to have a chance.
It's
you want
rigged.
This?
It's rigged. Can you imagine how pissed off Jazz fans would be, Pelicans fans would be? I mean, teams that just like genuinely suck and have had not a lot of good happening for their franchises for a long time. Like we were just talking about, the reason why the draft lottery is a good thing is because these fans of bad teams at least have something to look forward to if they're terrible. But now, the Mavs have had a whole lot of good going on around their franchise. I know trading away Luka isn't the best thing in the whole entire world, but then you get Cooper Flag out of it. What if you get another lottery pick, another #1 overall pick, and now you have Cooper Flag and Cam Boozer, or Cooper Flag and AJ DeBonza? I don't know what kind of juju's happening in Dallas, but they've got some sort of voodoo doll of Adam Silver that they're just poking in the right place.
I can't figure out, is it more rigged for them to get the top pick 2 straight years, or is it more rigged for them not to get the top pick the second year because they don't want that smoke? Also, if they get the top pick 2 years in a row, I guarantee you we get an easy fix to this lottery where a team won't be allowed to be in the lottery 2 consecutive years. I'm telling you, this could be the beginning of change. We'll see. But the important part of this, Kyrie not going to play this season. He will make his comeback next season. All right, coming up next, we're going to figure out what to do with some of the weirdest stories with one of the funniest guys. Lucas Zelnick joins the show next.
You covered Darnold with the Jets. Where are you kind of just feeling about him?
Another game with 3 games in a row, no turnovers for Sam. The sack avoidance snipe from Sam was incredible. The back and forth between Sam and Milton Williams was honestly really impressive for Sam on my part, because I thought that it wasn't his best game of the season, but it was the game he needed to have, which was clean. He won Super Bowl. He's going to get a contract extension. It's kind of cool to see his redemption story.
What was it like being at MSG? Like in the back, the locker room? Like, could you feel that it was a little different?
It's a total different experience from being there as a spectator to actually being there backstage and all of that stuff. Total different experience. I was so tuned into my fight. I don't even think I was looking at the referee. I'm just there, just kind of just like looking down. I'm listening to what he's saying. At the same time, I'm just thinking about the fight. I'm like, yeah, all right, y'all done? You ready? Right? Yeah. All right, it's time to go.
The Premier League has gotten so successful. Survival has become such a priority. Maybe that doesn't lead to the most entertaining football match.
The one thing that you want to avoid is having this runaway first place team by Boxing Day, which happens more often than not. This has been, I would argue, a little bit more exciting this season. The entire mid-table is packed.
Yeah.
So
as an Everton fan, I'm like, yeah, we in the mix.
For Clippers fans, I just feel bad, Tom. I mean, I feel bad. It's always something with the Clippers. It's always something. And then, the year begins and the whole aspiration thing, and then the team sucks. And then they start winning and they make a run and they're in the play-in and the playoffs are ahead. And then this all happens. James Harden does it again. He asks for another trade.
Lucas Zelnick out on tour right now. You can check him out if you're like me in the Northeast. You can check him out in Boston, February 28th. Check out his site to get all of his tour dates. He's live with us right now, growing up in New York, rooting for New York teams. All right, you are in New York right now. So when you go into Boston, what's that moment like? We trash talking the crowd? Is the crowd trash talking you? What's it like in Boston?
I mean, I did just come from Philly, and I did 9 shows there, and on 5 occasions, with no prompting whatsoever, they broke into chants for the Birds, and this is after the Birds were already out of the NFL playoffs. So I actually think Boston is probably a little less scary than that. The Philly people are animals, but But I'll try not to taunt them because my security guard in Philly said, I can help you with anything unless you say something about the birds.
Approach that with a lot of caution. I mean, any fan base that boos Santa Claus will stop at no end to make sure
It's
that they
insane.
get zero disrespect for their team. Truly insane. But you're a huge New York sports fan, just a huge sports fan in general. How often does sports content, do sports jokes kind of find themselves into your sets?
Oh God. I mean, it depends on where I go. I would say like most of my tour, I'm in cities where it's all they have. You know what I mean? It's the only thing
Yeah.
between them and just like jumping off a bridge. It's a lot of cities have a lot of bridges, which they shouldn't. A lot of the worst cities have a lot of bridges. You know what I mean? A lot of like Pittsburgh. It's like this feels like a city that would make you want to jump off a bridge, and they have like 300 bridges. So, I go there and it's like when you go to Pittsburgh, it's pretty impossible to not mention the Steelers because you have everyone is in Steelers pajama pants. Like these people don't own pants. They either have like
Pajama
Carhartt
pants
or
specifically.
yeah, it's a lot of Steelers pajamas. It's a lot of Steelers themed casual wear. But I guess like I'll go to these cities where it's like I don't know anything about them if I don't know about their teams. You know what I mean? Buffalo, Pittsburgh. These are places where you have to be watching the game. Otherwise, you're going to start thinking about how bad your life is. So that is much of the tour. So I would say sports teams figure in prominently when I'm out on the road for sure.
So let's talk about your fandom a little bit. Of the New York sports teams that you are a fan of, which are you most proud to just come out and talk your talk about, and which one are you the most embarrassed to talk your talk about?
Well, it's been kind of flipping lately. Like my whole life, the Yankees have been pretty solid, but also hated. The Yankees are probably one of the most unanimously hated organizations of all time from people who aren't Yankees fans. But then, of course, so I grew up a huge Rangers fan. I played ice hockey growing up. So I was a massive Rangers fan. And the Rangers have always been I don't know. I've tried to make the case that it's like the most frustrating program to be a fan of. I mean, this year they're quite bad, and last year they weren't a playoff team. But in my lifetime, I think they've made the Eastern Conference Finals like 5 times. So to come that close and then to be in the Cup Finals, I think it was 2014 they were in the Cup Finals, is like way more frustrating. I think it's like one thing when your team's been bad your whole life. But to have them be like so good and then never win a cup has been pretty devastating. And then the Knicks are kind of in the opposite trajectory because my whole life the Knicks were like a total joke and now they're good. So that's actually kind of exciting. And then the Giants I think the Giants have kind of a little bit of hope now as well. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think between like Jackson Dart and Harborough, like there's a real and Scattaboo, like there's a real program emerging there. So I'm hoping in the next couple of years, but like the Giants had been bad for so long that I kind of was like, am I even a Giants fan? I don't know.
We have on this show what we call the football vibes index, which is, of course, a very scientific number that we come up with. I gave the Giants vibes a 10. Like,
Yeah,
even though the team sucks, the vibes are good. I mean, because of
the
those two.
vibes
So
are
yeah, like
good.
the vibes are good, and sometimes that's even better than winning. Is just if you have good vibes. But you are a self-proclaimed rich kid nepo baby, which I love. Self-awareness is important. Nepo babies are having a moment. Nepo babies are having a moment in sports. Arch Manning, Bronny, Shador. So, as a
Right.
fellow nepo baby, who are you looking at in sports, a nepo baby in sports, to have a big year in 2026?
I mean, Shador is actually good. Bronny is like full blown Nepo. I just had this conversation. Not, by the way, I'm not gonna like jump on the whole Bronny slander bus because I don't need to, because plenty of people are on it already. Like, I wish that man the best. And honestly, he's taken so much. I don't know. I would say his life probably sucks if he were to like look on the internet and read one thing about him. There's like full online accounts dedicated to making fun of like his limited playing time, but also he is LeBron's son, so he's like gonna be rich forever, and I'm sure that was like awesome in high school. So I don't really know how that one evens out. Arch is kind of swaggy. I think the one thing that sucks for Bronny is he might be like the least swaggy Nepo baby. You know what I mean? If you want to talk about a vibes index, I mean, Arch feels like a white dude with a little bit of motion. Shadur is actually good and starting, albeit not on a good team. So I wish Bronny the best. I hope he just snaps and becomes really good all of a sudden, and everyone has to eat their words.
I love it.
You're a
Nepo
hockey fan
babies
too, so
protecting Navy babies.
I mean,
I'm
the
very
Nepo,
protective of Nepo babies.
we need to find out if there's like a Nepo baby group chat out there somewhere. Like everybody's got a group text together with all the Nepo. Like I love the self awareness. You mentioned earlier you grew up playing hockey. Canada USA gold was what we're hoping to get. So what's your level of excitement Saturday morning, or Sunday morning, I should say, 8 a.m., which is early for a comic to get up. 8 a.m. Are you just flocking to the TV early in the morning to watch USA Canada? Should we get that matchup Sunday?
Yeah, I hope we get that matchup. I mean, I think the way that the tournament shook out, it was kind of weird. It was weird how they did it differently for the men's and the women's. And then we play Sweden today, which is probably the hardest matchup that we could possibly face in the quarterfinals. So I'm hoping that is gonna be fine because the USA men, to be honest, have not looked super sharp to me, but it's always that question of like, well, did they not look super sharp because they hadn't been tested yet? So we're going to find out very quickly today with Sweden. I would be very, very bummed if they were out at this point, and I probably would not wake up to watch a Canada-Sweden final. But I think USA Canada, also like the fact that Tom Wilson fought some gigantic guy from France just makes me like more excited to watch Olympic hockey because they were basically like fighting doesn't happen in the Olympics. And then Tom Wilson was like, I mean, it does if I want to fight. And then you quickly realize that if like two gigantic dudes are fighting, there's not really anything that the refs can do to stop them. And they didn't put in place any plan for real disciplinary action. So given that they're not actually disciplining fighting, I wouldn't be surprised if like one of the Chichuk brothers fought like someone from Canada if we get a USA Canada final. Fingers crossed we will. It's just I'm worried about those guys being a little cocky and then falling in like a close game to Sweden because they've kind of started slow. Every game they were down against Denmark. They had some tough calls against Latvia, but they were also like scoreless. They were scoreless or up 1-0 maybe through 2 with Latvia or something like that, or through 1.5. So hopefully they win today, and then I'll wake up for that final.
We're all setting our alarms for that one, but you have some lore. Not only are you a comic, you're a former professional skier. You also hold a business degree from Stanford. I
took some flack online for the professional skier. Let it be known, I was a sponsored junior skier, but I was never a I want that to be known. I tried to say it, but yes, I was good at skiing.
A sponsored junior skier doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same way the professional skier does, but I do appreciate the clarification there.
Yes.
But we're going to dip into your business expertise here. We'll ask you good or a bad business decision. So we'll start with this. Recent news that came out yesterday. MLBPA Executive Director Tony Clark is stepping down for having an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who also worked under him at the MLBPA. Good or bad business decision by Tony Clark?
No, I mean, I think it doesn't get better than that. I mean, to hire your sister-in-law and then I'm guessing inappropriate relationship is he was sleeping with her, right?
Right, that's what we think. I mean,
that was my assumption.
We don't know
He wasn't
if that's
rude,
his wife's
was he?
sister or his brother's wife. We don't know wife, sister, brother's wife, but we're presuming that there was some hibbity-dibbity going on.
Right, wife, sister, or brother's wife. We must be able to find that out. I'm trying to think. Wife, sister is even more diabolical than, I don't know. What's worse, wife, sister, or brother's
I think
wife?
is worse.
No, brother's wife was no, because you got to go to Thanksgiving and sit with your brother for the rest of his life. Like you can never, like you're playing Uno on Christmas Eve with your brother after you stooped his wife. You can't throw down the draw 4 card. Like you can never look at your brother again. You lose your brother.
Brother's
you can find another wife.
is-
You can't find another wife. You can't find another brother.
But guys can sometimes be chiller about that. No, I think you might be right. Brother's wife is probably worse than wife's, because wife's sister is not incredibly different from just leaving your wife. It's like leaving your wife and spitting in her face on the way out. Brother's wife, it's like you just broke up their marriage and you broke up your relationship with your brother. So it is a bit of a double whammy. Knowing Tony, it's probably that one then. Tony seems like an agent of chaos. Executive director, no longer, I'll say. But it seems like maybe he let the power of the executive direction of the MLBPA get to his head, his exposed head. He, I think it was probably a bad call if he liked his job, but I'll say in that moment it was probably pretty hot. All
right, so yeah, I mean that
As long
is
as
the
it
other
was
side
worth
of
it.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I just can't imagine. Hi, honey, got fired today. Why? Let's not talk about. Okay, let's get your business sense on this one. How about IMG Academy was fined? They're a hotbed for football recruits coming up. They were fined $1.7 million for accepting tuition from families tied to a drug cartel. So I don't know at Stanford Business if they taught you these things, but like we take in drug cartel money if it helps keep the lights on.
Well, yeah, at Stanford, they'd probably say not to do that, but that's why I graduated, and now I can be a little more fun. Here's what I'll say, okay? You're a school, okay? First of all, IMG Academy, good. What are the good programs there? Baseball, right? Is one of them?
Baseball, football, both, yeah. I mean, sports in general, yeah.
Golf.
So, look, I mean, if you want good baseball players, getting rich kids whose dads are cartel leaders, like, yeah, I think those kids are going to hit pretty well. You know what I mean? Like that kid's going to have an arm. You had to throw pounds of cocaine away from the DEA as helicopters flew over your head. Like, if we're just looking at the athletic abilities of the kids, because it's not like drug cartel leaders themselves were at IMG Academy. Presumably what they're saying is that these drug lords have kids who are kind of nice with it, and then they're using their drug money to send these kids to elite institutions. So first of all, as a Nepo baby, I go, you can't fault the kids because your dad is, an evil rich guy. And then as a business person, I go, well, hold on. Why are we talking about how dirty the money is? Let's talk about how dirty the athletes are. I mean, are these guys filthy with it? Like, I mean, if these guys are bad, then yeah, they shouldn't be taking that money. There's plenty of, the thing with IMG Academy is it's like for elite athletes, right? So there should be it should be full of elite athletes. But if some of those elite athletes like accidentally have ties to the, I don't know the names of the cartel. What was Escobar's cartel called? Do you guys remember?
I don't
Sinaloa,
remember.
right? Oh,
Sinaloa.
I don't know.
Caroline suddenly had that answer off the top
I don't know
of my
what
head.
it
We're
was.
discovering things about our co-host.
Yeah, that was awesome that you pulled that one. But anyway, if those kids,
Big cartel girl.
I'll tell you this though, the one thing that would be really bad about having kids of cartel leaders on your baseball team is I think you really wouldn't want to cut them.
Yeah, they get all the playing time they want. They get all the playing time they want. You guys can, You guys can see Lucas on tour. Check him out. Go to his site, lucaszelnick.com is the way you get tickets. You see right there, he is slammed. He is all over the country, so be sure to go check him out. Lucas, good luck to your teams this year. We appreciate you hanging out. Be safe. Get some rest on tour, dude. You are slammed. So congratulations on all the success. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
It's great stuff from Lucas there. Oh, I don't know how to recuperate from throwing cocaine, but I know that Jerry Jones will help us. What should the NFL teams give up for Lent? We'll figure that out next.
Who's the dream fight? Like, who's the final boss for you?
Nyla Inoue.
Yeah, that's the one. Huh?
Yeah, I feel like he's the guy.
What a freaking fight that would be.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
How far away do you think you are from this, like, maybe being a thing?
I would say maybe a year.
Yeah.
Maybe just a year away. Yeah, it's
Is the
right
dream
there.
to try to, like, get more belts so that entices him to come after you?
100%.
Okay.
100%. He's going to get a wake-up call fighting a guy like me.
And Kenneth Walker wins Super Bowl MVP.
The way he's kind of molded his game to work for him has been fun because it's such a hard turn from where he started. Sometimes it feels like a more dramatic version of like how Le'Veon Bell used to run the ball, how Le'Veon would stop and wait and see things open. But Le'Veon, like, he was hugging the ass of his centers and his guards. Kenneth is like, he's like step back so he can see the whole picture open up. And then when it hits, he's off.
The Sixers, to me, are the biggest loser of the trade deadline. You get these middling picks for Jared McCain, one of your most promising young players, to duck the tax. Just a joke. If I'm a Sixers fan, I'm infuriated. The Sixers, losers this trade deadline. It's just so disappointing for Philadelphia, man.
Who in college football could experience that same level of redemption arc? And I was thinking, we've actually kind of seen it a little bit in the past. I'd say Jaden Daniels did. Remember when his teammates were like throwing his things out of his locker and talking trash about him when he left Arizona State, and then he goes and wins the Heisman at LSU?
It was a little bit of a turnaround. I wonder what those guys are doing now.
What was your thoughts in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you.
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the...
Do you really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you
teams.
raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you are.
talking.
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
The preparation.
That's UCLA men's basketball coach Mick Cronin after his game where UCLA was absolutely slaughtered by Michigan State last night. Now, it should be noted in that game, he ejected his own player after a hard foul. And what he said just moments before that question is, if you want to be a tough guy, you need to do it during the game for a block out for a rebound. So I was thoroughly disappointed. He went on to say that he doesn't like fake tough guys. Coach, I would ask you, are your guys being fake tough guys because they're being coached by a fake tough guy? Because what we just saw right there was you going after a reporter asking a question. Now, you called it the dumbest question you've ever been asked. I've been in plenty of press conferences, and I've talked to other coaches that have been to plenty of press conferences. It's been pointed out repeatedly, worse questions have been asked. Also, you don't know that writer's assignment. For all you know, that writer was writing something on the student section, for example. But even above and beyond all of that, all you had to do was be nice. The fact is, you chose to be passive-aggressive at best in your tone. And when the reporter came back and said anything to you, you turned around and you gaslit him. Through all of this, you look small. Remember that your job is to represent UCLA, and everything you do is supposed to represent the school in the best possible way. Is that the way you would want your players talking to reporters? I think the answer to that is no. I keep going back to what we saw from you when you ejected your player and you said you don't like fake tough guys. Stop acting like a fake tough guy, and maybe your players won't play like fake tough guys. You don't have the resume to stand up and be that guy in those press conferences. And frankly, at the end of the day, what you did was disrespectful to somebody doing their job when all they did was ask you a question. This isn't about Coach V Media. This is just about being a kind person. This is about handling things the right way. I don't care what your job is. You did not do your job the right way. Shame on you, Coach. You absolutely embarrassed yourself. You embarrassed your kids. You embarrassed your school. You embarrassed college basketball. Congrats. If that was your goal, not just to embarrass yourself with the product you put on the court, you accomplished it after.
You know, one of my biggest pet peeves is when questions will be criticized. Like, what do you expect them to say? Well, I don't know. That's why I asked the question. It's not my job to answer questions for you. It's my job to ask you them and then you answer them. So when Mick Cronin says, why would you ask that question? Well, it's because I want to know what your answer is. And I don't know, Mick, the way that you responded to the question and the way that you kept going back to it and the way that you continued to say, why would I care? Why would I care? I don't know. Makes me think that you do care. Because you know what I don't say about things that I genuinely don't care about? That. Like, clearly that struck a nerve. So don't act all, oh, I don't care. I'm bigger than that. I'm better than that. I'm bigger and better than you. And your question kind of makes you seem like you do care about it. It's just rude. It's unnecessary. Look, Mick Cronin makes how many millions of dollars a year? I'm not going to pocket watch any reporter, but peek behind the curtain to people who don't know. Reporters don't make a lot of money, and reporters work really hard. Reporters work late nights, early mornings, weekends, and holidays in order to deliver stories from your team, to paint you and your squad in a good light, to deliver the content to your fans. The things that keep the lights on, fans and money and tickets and merchandise sales. So maybe just have a little bit of grace. I understand there's levels of frustration. I understand it's a very high stress, high pressure job. I get that. You get compensated pretty well for that. Maybe just take a step back, take a deep breath, and answer a question. You don't have to like it. Nobody's saying you have to like the questions that are asked, but maybe just respond to it with a level of respect and don't sound like such a butthead in the process.
I keep going back to, at the end of the day, if Mick Cronin, as he said, I answered your question. Well, Mick, if you've ever been in any relationship, if you've ever had any person in your life that's ever looked at you, and if you haven't, you should, that has said, it's not what you said, it's how you said it, watch that back and play that for those people and ask the question, did I say this in the right way, or did I say this in a massively passive-aggressive way that triggered a solution or a situation? Instead of making things less, instead of just playing it off, you made it worse. Seth Greenberg on ESPN said this morning he doesn't think it's about this. It's about the fact that his team didn't play well and he was on edge because of it. Fine. Take that out on your team. Take that out on anybody you want, but don't take that out on a reporter afterwards that's just doing their job asking a question. You don't like the question? There are 1,000 ways you can tell somebody you don't like the question. That way was meant to trigger a conflict. And when you got just the slightest higher tone of a voice and then gaslit the reporter into making them think that they did something wrong, you showed how small you are. All right, let's keep moving through this process as we take a look. Today is it's Ash Wednesday. I lost the words. It's Ash Wednesday, so we figured we'd have a little bit of fun, figure out what people could give up for Lent over the course of this, leagues, anything. So what do you got, Caroline? You can give me anything you want, something in sports that should be given up for Lent. What do you got?
Yeah, I think that the Texans should be giving up to CJ Stroud for Lent. I don't know how you can justify to your locker room and to your fan base after a 4-interception outing in the postseason that CJ Stroud is the answer. Look, the Texans had a championship defense. All they needed was a quarterback that wouldn't screw it up. And CJ Stroud may as well have been wearing a Patriots uniform because he did more good for the Patriots that day than he did the Texans. Far more. So I don't know how you can sell to that team that you can bring CJ Stroud back and sell to everyone that we are going for it, that we're going to make the postseason, that we're trying to win a Super Bowl, because it is clear as day to me that you're not going to do that with CJ Stroud. So I think not just for the next 40 days, but for the next 400 years, you should be giving up.
That is, you've given us the wildest of the hottest of takes. I love this. I'll go with something far less. We've seen good from CJ. I don't want, I want to believe that this is my Star Wars
2 years
reference,
ago,
but I want to still, you can still see you can still see the light in him, right? Like, it's not all the dark. He hasn't gone completely to the dark side. There's still some good in there. On On a note for me on what to give up for Lent, I want to give up all alt jerseys in the NBA forever and ever and ever. Just have a home jersey and an away jersey.
No.
I don't need any of these city jerseys. I don't need any of these. Like, I don't want to turn on the TV on any NBA broadcast and then ask myself, what game am I actually watching? Because I genuinely have no idea who's playing right now. Like, there's a reason that home and away exist. If you want to give me one for the season, I'll give you one, but that's all I need. Just one extra jersey. I don't need city jerseys that are random constantly. Just for the love of God, give me just the regular branding. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. She's Caroline Fenton. I'm Jason Fitz. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Be sure to come back tomorrow. More Yahoo Sports Daily coming at you then.
They never knew where the blitz was coming from.
No, they didn't. They couldn't recognize it. And that's where then, if you want to criticize Drake May for that, sure, you can. But also, you got to look at Josh McDaniel, because even when you look at the route concept, it really didn't set Drake May up to be successful against those blitz concepts.
Because make no mistake, there are some absolutely outstanding players in this year's draft. But Flag, if you don't think he's special, I don't know what to tell you.
I said it last year in my draft guide. There has not been another prospect with a higher floor with still an amazing ceiling than Cooper Flag. With Flag, the floor is just all-star.
Pronouncing names correctly, you are the king of this.
In Scotland, we have obviously our own pronunciations, and we would grow up hearing a lot of our Scottish towns said the wrong way, and so I think it's always been a little bit of a chip on the shoulder thing for me from that point of view. And I've always
look, we all can't stand the English there.
Yeah. No.
You never said that, but we knew what you meant.
No,
New England has to look at, I think, both offensive line and the receiver core. I would put more of an emphasis on the protection. That, to me, is probably priority number one. We shift those two rookies who got a year's worth of experience. I think the receiver core definitely needs, to me, like a legit X receiver that we can throw the ball to 8 times a game and feel good. First of all, you just got to fix the offensive line so that we don't go into these games against the best defenses and feel like we're playing with our hand tied behind our back right away.